Hey guys, it's Daryl. It is New Year's Day, and I'm studying this impeachment situation. Okay, so how Mitch McConnell is handling this, how he basically is saying he's going to go along with whatever the White House says. Now he's the leader of the Senate. Looking back to 1999 when Clinton was impeached, it was the opposite. Okay, the Republicans were in charge of Congress, and they passed the impeachment and went to the Democrat-held Senate. Pretty much the exact opposite. What's going on now? They handled it in a much more constitutional, legal manner with respect for the law. The Republicans, led by Trent Lott, impeached Clinton, just like Trump was impeached. Now, they wanted to send it to the Senate, and they wanted Clinton and Lewinsky to testify in front of the Senate on all the sexual stuff in front of the whole world. Daschle did not want this embarrassment to the whole world, to the United States, to everybody. So Tom Daschle, the Democrat, leader of the Senate, and Trent Lott, the Republican leader of the Congress, the exact opposite. They sat down in the old Senate building. They pretty much locked themselves in there for 2 weeks and agreed on the rules to a fair trial. One of them basically said, this is in our laps and we're going to have to deal with it. I think that was, I don't know if it was Daschle or Trent. They handled it in a totally different way. So finally, Senator Kennedy was in on that. The senator from Texas, I can't remember what his name is offhand now. I tried to remember all these names. So they sat down and they hammered out the rules. That's all Nancy Pelosi wants right now. And in 1999, they ran that impeachment by looking back to the impeachment of Andrew Johnson in 1896. 1896, I believe. 1896? 1896. Or 1869. I'm sorry. Andrew Johnson, the impeachment of Andrew Johnson. To follow, they read the entire layout of what happened back then with the impeachment of Andrew Johnson to base how they were going to impeach President Clinton. The Republicans and Democrats all sat down. And by the way, I read Mitch McConnell has a much smaller majority or backing than Trent Lott did at the time. And Mitch McConnell now does not want, he wants to make all the rules all on his own. He doesn't want to follow what they did in the two previous impeachments. The impeachment of Bill Clinton was held much differently. The Republicans and Democrats sat down and hammered out the rules. Like I said, and it was exactly opposite. And they agreed to have 3 testimonies when it went to the Senate. But they were going to be on videotape and done in private. This is completely different from what's happening now. What's happening now is Mitch McConnell is saying, screw all that. Nancy, you know what? You're going to just do what the president says. You're going to send those articles up to here and we're going to throw them in the garbage. Back when Clinton was president, Republicans and Democrats both sat down. And that's all Nancy wants, is for them to sit down and agree on how many witnesses, how the rules of how this is going to be run. And both should, because both parties are in charge of the country. It's a totally different. It's the way Mitch McConnell is proposing is just to throw the entire thing in the garbage, and not follow any of the previous rules that were held with the impeachment of Andrew Johnson and the impeachment of Bill Clinton. And when you go back and read, I went back today, just this morning at 3:30 on New Year's Day, and read the impeachment of Bill Clinton. And it was a much more distinguished, bipartisan agreement, a gentlemanly agreement on how this was going to be run with the least amount of embarrassment to the country and damage to the country, but still have a fair trial. Trent Lott, the Republican leader back then, and Tom Daschle, the Senate leader. Tom Daschle would now be Mitch McConnell's. He's in the same position Mitch McConnell is now. Tom Daschle was the Democrat, and he was in charge of the Senate back then. And he sat down with who would have been, Trent Lott would have been Nancy Pelosi's equal back then, like I said. And they sat down in a gentlemanly way and hammered out the rules. And that's all Nancy Pelosi wants. And they based that whole Bill Clinton impeachment on the first impeachment that was ever held in the United States of Andrew Johnson. And you're going to have to excuse me if it's 1896 or 1869. I can't remember which it was. I think it was, I can't remember now. I'm sorry, guys. I got a lot of numbers in my head. So again, this even makes the case more. When you go back and you read the actual rules of impeachment, you actually read what happened in the two previous impeachments, and you look at what's happening now with Mitch McConnell and Nancy Pelosi withholding the articles. And it's completely understandable that Nancy Pelosi is withholding these articles until they can agree on rules. See, now people don't, even I didn't understand how this was supposed to be run. And people, a lot of Trump supporters, wrongly assumed Nancy Pelosi was breaking the law, that she had to send them right up there and she had no more say. No, that is not true. She's still involved. As a matter of fact, she needs to sit down and agree. Everything that's happened in the past, the two previous impeachments, her job is to sit down with Mitch McConnell and agree on the rules, which is exactly what she's doing right now. And it's exactly what happened with the impeachment of Bill Clinton. They agreed on the witnesses that were going to be called, how they were going to be called, how they testify, with the least damage and the most justice done to everybody. It sounds like the right thing to do, doesn't it? Kind of puts into perspective the whole situation with Nancy Pelosi. All right. I'm going to do some more studying on this January 1st. You guys have a good New Year's Day.